Now keep an eye on that doorway on the top left of the screen. The altercation between the bad guys and Joseph's uncle is occurring right now. And here they come out. There's punches being thrown. You're going to see Joseph backing up.
Clearly retreating.
Backing up. And there's about 4 or 5 guys that are confronting him.
Look at his presence of mind, though, right? To just make sure he doesn't turn his back on him, just like you said. Really good presence of mind here.
In his head, they just stabbed his uncle. He's grabbing. Joseph turns around, one shot, hits the assailant in the arm, confirms downed target, and retreats.
I'm going to explain to you, using my legal brain, on how this guy got off when initially charged with attempted murder and possession of an illegal firearm in New York and got off with just a misdemeanor. Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Frank Latella. I'm a law enforcement firearms instructor, a self-defense instructor, and I own a gun store in South Florida. On this channel, Frank Latella's Self-Protection Network, I post everything that I do in my business. I like to post self-defense tips and strategies. I like to post firearm safety content and Second Amendment news. I love doing gear reviews on different things like less lethal weapons, safes, holsters. And of course, when something comes up like a real world self-defense incident like you saw a moment ago, I definitely like to speak about that. Now, if all of that stuff interests you, consider subscribing to this channel. Subscriptions do not cost you anything. It simply helps the channel grow. My goal is to get to 3,000 subscribers. And when I do, I have a few special things that I'm going to give to you, something for free. Joseph and a few of his family members went to a barbecue in New York. An altercation ensued between Joseph's uncle and a few other people, and the result was Joseph's uncle ended up getting jumped and getting stabbed. As you can see from the video, people are running around. It looks very chaotic, and Joseph was retreating, trying to get to a tactical position and keep his other family members safe. Somebody approached Joseph and was mouthing off, and Joseph felt threatened, especially when that person's hand went behind their back. Now, when you carry a firearm, when you learn self-defense, it's not just the techniques on how to do it. It's watching for clues. When somebody is reaching for something, right? I don't mean just regular casual conversation, their hand goes in their pocket. There's already an imminent threat happening. Joseph already felt threatened. And when the hand went behind the back, Joseph had a reasonable fear that a weapon was coming out. So according to him, he had no choice but to deploy his firearm and defend himself. One of my takeaways from this encounter in the video is that Joseph has firearm training experience, even if it's minimal. The reason I say that is his firearm was concealed. I believe it was in a fanny pack, but regardless, it was not open. Okay, he had to lift his shirt, he had to unzip his pack. That being said, the attacker, the guy who threatened him and reached behind his back, was relatively close by. Now, I recently did a video on what I call the 21-foot concept, which essentially is the principle that a bad guy, regardless if they're armed or not, can close the distance by running on somebody faster than that person, the good guy, getting their firearm out and getting one shot on target. Meaning you need at least 21 feet of space to do that before the bad guy grabs you or cuts you or grabs your gun. So the fact that they were relatively close and Joseph was still able to get his gun out is a great thing. That being said, if you carry a gun, you need to practice deployment. It's not just going to the range and shooting, it's dry fire. Okay? Clearing your firearm, making it safe, facing a safe direction, and practicing deploying, drawing your gun with your holster, wearing your clothing. Not just going to the range and picking the gun up off the table and shooting at a still target. So training is a very important thing, not just physically, but watching, situational. So how did Joseph end up taking that attempted murder and illegal possession of a firearm dropped down to a misdemeanor? Well, he didn't do it himself. He was wise. He was smart enough to have an attorney already retained long before he even went to the barbecue. So let me explain. I became a member, just like Joseph, with an organization called Attorneys on Retainer, AOR. So AOR is backed by Attorneys for Freedom, which is a law firm in Arizona. So they represent people in all 50 states, including DC, in collaboration with local co-counsel. So what that means is Joseph became a member with AOR. He pays a small amount each month. He receives his membership card with instructions on the back, post self-defense incident instructions. What to say to the police if you call or if someone else calls. I became a member and then an affiliate. If you think Attorneys on Retainer, AOR, is right for you, you can go to their website and use our promo code Boynton Guns, BOYNTON Guns, to save a little bit of money and to get yourself protected. Being that Joseph believed he acted, and he did, acted in self-defense, they went to a safe location. Somebody called 911 for him because somebody was shot. And then Joseph contacted the emergency number on the back of this card. The AOR team immediately went to work, and they hired a law firm, a very competent attorney in New York, who was able to be that local co-counsel so that they all worked together. And they did their due diligence by getting the security camera footage from a local business. Preserving evidence in this case is one of the main things that allowed the defense to show law enforcement and the prosecution that this really was self-defense. Because at the moment, it's the witnesses and the guy that got shot, who we're going to consider them the bad guys. It's their word, multiple people, versus Joseph, one person, right? So the fact that the AOR team was able to get that footage, and they knew that they needed to, is very important. Now, let's just say you got into an incident, Joseph got into this incident, and at the moment, he didn't have the funds, let's just assume. And he had no choice but to go with a public defender who already has hundreds of cases, and they cannot take the time to work with each person individually. So luckily, he had this team who knew exactly what to do. Quick interruption to this video. Make sure to like and subscribe for more. So AOR cut the check to the co-counsel in New York. They also covered the bond to get him out. Now, of course, handcuffs were put on. He went to Rikers Island. He was taken into the system, but luckily he was out relatively soon, and it didn't cost him anything additional. The AOR team met with detectives and prosecutors and explained everything, and it was clear to them that Joseph did act in self-defense. It was justified. So at that point, they ended up taking a plea. They knew it. The AOR team was like, hey, we'll go to trial and we're going to win. And it sounded like the prosecution didn't want that smoke. So what ended up happening was they offered him a plea. And the plea was plead guilty to possession of an illegal firearm, a year of probation, and that initial, what would have been a felony charge, will be just a misdemeanor. Now, the thought, when you really break it down, obviously that's great news. When you look at it from a point of possession of, quote, an illegal firearm, the firearm, they're saying, was illegal, but he acted in self-defense. But if he didn't have the firearm, he may be dead. It's very strange, which is why I'm happy to live in sunny South Florida, where Second Amendment is protected. I have something for you, something completely free, but I'm not going to give it out until my channel reaches 3,000 subscribers. It's going to happen quickly, and we could use your help if you're interested in what we just talked about today: firearms, self-defense, use of force, Second Amendment news, and everything in between. Subscribing to this channel is completely free. It's simply a way to follow the channel, which will help it grow.